Good afternoon, dear students. In the last class, we discussed about electrophoresis. Okay, what electrophoresis is, what are the different types of electrophoresis, and in that, we studied moving boundary and zone electrophoresis. Okay, free electrophoresis and zone electrophoresis. Zone electrophoresis is of different types like paper electrophoresis, cellulose acetate electrophoresis, and then gel electrophoresis. Okay, so yesterday we discussed about paper electrophoresis. Now let us discuss about gel electrophoresis. Now, gel electrophoresis technique is used for the separation of deoxyribonucleic acid, that means DNA. So, gel electrophoresis is used for separation of DNA, RNA, protein molecules, and separation occurs according to their size and electric charge under the influence of applied electric field in a gel matrix. Okay. So here the supporting medium is a gel. So separation of RNA or DNA or protein under the influence of electric field will occur in a gel matrix. Now what is a gel? Gel is a cross-linked polymer whose composition and porosity is chosen on the basis of the specific weight and porosity of the target molecules, size of the target molecules. Okay, so gel is nothing but a cross-linked polymer whose composition is determined or whose porosity. See, actually a gel matrix contains pores in it through which the sample molecules travel. Okay, so the size of the pores can be controlled by adjusting the composition of the gel. Now different types of gels are used, like say agarose gel, polyacrylamide gel, starch gel, a combination of agarose and polyacrylamide. So we are going to study today various types of gels. So the first one, let us discuss about first what agarose and polyacrylamide are. Now see, the pores of the agarose gel are large and hence agarose gel is used to separate macromolecules such as nucleic acids, that is DNA, RNA, okay, even plasmid DNA, large proteins and protein complexes. Okay, so because the pore size of agarose gels are large, it is used to separate macromolecules like nucleic acids, large proteins and protein complexes. Polyacrylamide makes a small pore gel. Okay, polyacrylamide gel have small pores, so it is used to separate most of the proteins and small oligonucleotides. Both the gels are electrically neutral. See, we do not want that the gel molecule should be charged. They should be rather electrically neutral. If the gel molecules itself are charged, then they will interfere with the movement of the sample molecules under the electric field. So the gel molecules should be relatively electrically neutral. So both agarose and polyacrylamide are electrically neutral, and these two are widely used gels as far as gel electrophoresis is concerned. Okay. Now, although agarose and polyacrylamide differ greatly in their physical and chemical structures, they both make porous gels. Why do we need porous gels? Of course, a porous gel has a sieving effect, molecular sieving effect. So, we require a porous gel. It acts as a sieve by retarding or in some cases by completely obstructing the movement of macromolecules while allowing some smaller molecules to migrate freely. Okay, so it acts as a molecular sieve. So it retards the movement of larger molecules and it allows the smaller molecules to move freely, migrate freely. By preparing a gel having a restricted pore size, we can take advantage of the molecular size differences among proteins. So if you want, rather we want to separate the sample components on the basis of their molecular size. So we prepare a gel having a particular pore size so that small molecules can move faster and larger molecules move slower to a lesser distance. Okay. Now, what are the different types of gels that are used in gel electrophoresis that we are going to discuss? This is also asked from exam point of view also, this is important, right? Now, agarose, what is agarose gel? Agarose is a highly purified, uncharged polysaccharide derived from agar. All of you know we have prepared nutrient medium so many times, and so all of us know what is agar powder. But agarose is the purified form of agar. Agar is actually made up of amylose and amylopectin. Now, agar is made up of agarose and agaropectin. So we require agarose. Agaropectin is actually a sulfated molecule. It is a charged molecule. So being a sulfated or a charged molecule, agaropectin will interfere with the movement of sample molecules. So agaropectin is specifically removed and we get uncharged polysaccharide, that is agarose. So actually agar agar gel is prepared and it is mixed with equal volume of 40% polyethylene glycol. When it is mixed with 40%, equal volume of 40% polyethylene glycol, agarose get precipitated, and the precipitated agarose is removed, it is washed, it is cleaned, and it can be used as a you can say support medium to prepare agarose gel used for separation of DNA or RNA or such molecules. Okay, agarose, it is dissolved in a boiling liquid, like we usually prepare agarose gel in a buffer. So agarose dissolves when added to a boiling liquid. Okay, so you add it to the buffer and heat it to boil, right? So it will dissolve. So it remains in liquid state until the temperature is lowered to about 40 degrees Celsius, at which it will gel. So below 45 or below 40, it will set into a transparent gel. The pore size may be predetermined by adjusting the concentration of agarose in the gel. Okay, so the pore size can be, you can say, adjusted by adjusting the concentration of agarose in the gel, whether you want large pore size or small pore size, like that. But agarose gels are a little bit fragile. They are actually hydrocolloids and they are held together by formation of weak hydrogen bonds and weak hydrophobic bonds. So they are a little bit fragile, but we can handle them. Okay, so they contain actually repeating unit of agarose. Agarose is actually, as I told you, it's a polymer. It's a polymer. Okay, and there are two units. It is anhydro L-galactose and galactose, right? Now, the next type of gel is polyacrylamide gel. Polyacrylamide gel is also commonly used, but it will make a gel having small pore size. So it is used for separating molecules having a macromolecules only, but having a smaller size. Like you can separate proteins and small units like disaccharides and all. Now, how polyacrylamide gel is made? The components of polyacrylamide gel are acrylamide, bisacrylamide, okay, that is acrylamide monomers, bisacrylamide, that is N,N-methylene bisacrylamide, then ammonium persulfate, and timid, that is tetramethylene diamine. Okay, so these are the components utilized for making a polyacrylamide gel. What are those? Acrylamide, number 1. Number 2, bisacrylamide, also called as N,N-methylene bisacrylamide. Number 3, ammonium persulfate. It should be highly pure, otherwise gelling will not take place. And the next ingredient is tetramethylene diamine, that is timid. These free radicals activate acrylamide monomers, inducing them to react with other acrylamide monomers, forming long chains. Okay, so ammonium persulfate, again these are actually you can say catalyst type of things, and tetramethylene diamine. Okay, they activate acrylamide monomers to interact or to react with other acrylamide monomers, forming long chains, right? And it is mostly used to separate protein and small oligonucleotides because of the presence of small pores. Okay, so that is polyacrylamide gel. Now, polyacrylamide gels are tougher than agarose gels because pore size is small also. Acrylamide, and it is prepared by polymerizing acryl and bisacrylamide, so it is a little bit tougher than agarose. Acrylamide monomers polymerize into long chains that are covalently linked or they are cross-linked actually. Polyacrylamide is chemically complex, as is the production and use of gel. So its production is also a little bit complicated only, right? So the first molecule here, you can see the reaction. It is acrylamide. Another one is bisacrylamide. Okay, ammonium persulfate. In presence of ammonium persulfate, the acrylamide polymerizes, right? You can see many acrylamide molecules have joined to form a polymer called as polyacrylamide gel. Okay, the third type is starch gel. See, the resolution, the separation that is obtained on starch gel is nothing less than polyacrylamide gel, but there are certain disadvantages of using starch gel. Now, what is starch gel? Starch gel is made from hydrolyzed potato starch. You have to prepare potato starch. Okay, so it is made from hydrolyzed potato starch, which is then neutralized. You actually hydrolyze it so with acid, so it is first then neutralized with sodium acetate. It is heated, cooled, and then after heating and then cooling, it sets into a gel. Okay, gelling takes place because of interwinding of amylopectin molecules that are present in starch. Now this gel, you can prepare high porosity gel when you take a 2% weight by volume starch, or low porosity gels, okay, by taking 10 to 15%. Okay. You increase the concentration of starch, you increase the quantity of starch, and the pore size will go on decreasing. So you can prepare high porosity or low porosity gel by adjusting the concentration of the starch that you are using. And as I told you, it gives a resolution as good as that we obtain on a polyacrylamide gel, but the disadvantage of using starch gels are contamination problem. Very easily it is attacked by microorganisms, so microbial contamination occurs, and it will definitely interfere with the separation procedure. Second disadvantage is reproducibility of this gel is minimum, and pore size cannot be controlled. Right. And when you stain the gel to visualize the separated molecules or separated components of the sample, when you stain the gel turns opaque, and hence then detection of sample components become difficult. So it becomes opaque. That is one disadvantage. Contamination by microbial growth is another problem, and reproducibility is a problem because of pore size, because we cannot control the pore size. Now let us discuss in detail about the gel electrophoresis process. So what are the different types of gels? That is number 1 starch gel, number 2 agarose gel, number 3 polyacrylamide gel. And in most cases we use a combination of agarose and polyacrylamide. When we want to separate very large molecules, then we use a combination of agarose and polyacrylamide gel. So one gives strength to the gel, and another, that is agarose and polyacrylamide together. Actually, one of them gives strength to the gel, and one of the molecule helps in forming large pore size. Okay, so the combination of the agarose and polyacrylamide can also be used for separation. Now let us discuss in detail about gel electrophoresis. So gel electrophoresis involves the use of gel as a supporting medium for separation of DNA, RNA, proteins under the influence of electric current. It is usually performed for analytical purpose. Okay, it is usually performed for analytical purpose, but it can be used as a preparative technique to partially purify molecules prior to use. For other methods such as mass spectrometry, PCR cloning, DNA sequencing, and immunoblotting. So we can use it as a preparative technique also, but basically it is an analytical procedure. The most commonly used gel electrophoresis is the most commonly used electrophoresis procedure in biotechnology laboratories, and almost all recombinant DNA experiments are carried out by gel electrophoresis itself. Now we use various kinds of buffers for gel electrophoresis, say depending upon what molecules you want to separate. Like serum proteins, you can use barbitone buffer. For enzyme you can use phosphate buffer. But there are again so many, like for DNA, tris EDTA buffer, TAE buffer, tris acetate EDTA buffer, tris borate EDTA buffer, TBE, which is called as, we can use TAE, tris acetate EDTA buffer, especially used for nucleic acid separation. High resolution with TAE buffer, you get high resolution and high buffering capacity. Okay. Tris borate also gives you a good separation and a good resolution. So these are the different kinds of buffer, like again I repeat, barbitone buffer, phosphate buffer, TBM, and tris borate EDTA buffer, tris acetate EDTA buffer, and tris glycine buffer. Tris glycine buffer is used for separation of proteins. What is the principle? The electromotive force generated across the electrode pushes or pulls the molecule, that is nucleic acid or proteins, through the gel matrix. The molecule moves towards anode if it is negatively charged, or if it is positively charged, it will move towards cathode. Okay. Now, a typical gel electrophoresis apparatus, there are different types depending upon whether you perform it vertically or horizontally. So, it is vertical gel electrophoresis or horizontal gel electrophoresis. Vertical gel electrophoresis, also called as slab gel electrophoresis, is especially used for separation of DNA molecules like plasmid DNA, genomic DNA, restriction digestion of DNA. Okay. And horizontal gel electrophoresis is also called as slab gel electrophoresis, and it is used for immunoelectrophoresis, isoelectric focusing, separation of DNA, RNA, then restriction digestion of DNA, okay, isolation of plasmid DNA, etc. Vertical gel electrophoresis is especially used for separation of proteins, that is for SDS page. Okay. Now, electrophoresis is usually done with gels that are formed in tubes, slabs, or a flat bed. Okay. In many electrophoresis unit, the gel is mounted between two buffer chambers. Okay. The upper chamber and the lower chambers containing separate electrodes, so that only electrical connection between the two chamber is through the gel. Okay. Now, tube gel electrophoresis. These are not used nowadays. So, this apparatus, you can see, contains many number of tubes in a circular manner, and you have to fill the gel in the tube. We also call it column gel electrophoresis. Not widely used because separation is very good as far as this tube gel electrophoresis is concerned. But when you want to remove the gel out of the tube, the tubes are very narrow and the gel most of the time breaks, so not preferred. Slab gel units are the most preferred units. Okay. Now, slab gel unit. Okay. So these are the various apparatus that are required for performing vertical slab gel electrophoresis. Okay. Flat bed units. Okay. These are horizontal gel electrophoresis units, also called as slab gel unit. And here these flatbeds, okay, they are preferably used for separation of DNA, RNA, restriction digestion of DNA, etc. Now, in order to make wells in the gel, if you want to load your sample in the gel, where are you going to load? So, to load your sample, you have to dig out wells in your gel, and combs are generally used to make wells in the gel, or to cast well in the gel. Well is a kind of a cavity, a rectangular cavity. It depends upon the gel, how your gel comb is. Okay, so it's a rectangular cavity or a type of well dug out where you load the sample. So you use a comb. Now let us discuss in detail about Agarose gel electrophoresis. Earlier also I have sent you a video for practical purpose how agarose gel electrophoresis is performed. You can go through that video also. So, what is the principle of agarose gel electrophoresis? When a potential difference is applied across the two electrodes of a horizontal electrophoresis tank containing agarose gel, and biomolecules, which are nothing but the sample molecules, are loaded, then, okay, I repeat, when a potential difference is applied across the two electrodes of a horizontal electrophoresis tank containing agarose gel and biomolecule samples are loaded, then they get separated according to their molecular size. Bigger molecules have more molecular size and smaller molecules have small molecular size. They move towards the respective electrode. They move towards the oppositely charged electrodes. Here the agarose gel acts as a molecular sieve. As in a sieve, large particles stay above and particles which are smaller than the pore size pass through it. Similarly, in the gel, the larger molecules are bulky, and hence they stay behind, whereas smaller molecules move faster and quickly towards their respective electrode. Okay, so this is all the setup. You can see the another video which I have already sent, that is agarose gel electrophoresis, which I will send you again. So we have to take a gel casting tray. The two sides of the gel casting tray are closed. Now close the open sides with a insulating tape. Prepare agarose gel. Okay, boil it, and if you are carrying out say staining by ethidium bromide, then you have to add ethidium bromide in the gel itself. If you are going to stain it with another safer method like using Comasi blue, then you need not add ethidium bromide in the gel. So prepare the gel, pour it in the gel casting tray. First place the comb in the one of the grooves of the gel casting tray, and then pour the gel. Allow the gel to set. Once the gel is set, okay, in a single jerk and carefully remove the comb, so wells will be dug out in the gel. Now prepare TAE buffer. If you are separating say DNA, then the buffer tank, or the gel tank is filled with the buffer, and you place the gel slab in the buffer. The gel slab should be completely immersed inside the buffer, or rather you can say the buffer should cover the gel slab, and hence it is also called as submerged gel electrophoresis. Okay, then you prepare your sample. So preparing and running standard agarose gel. The equipment and supplies necessary are electrophoresis chamber, power supply, gel casting tray which are available in various sizes, composed of UV transparent plastic. The open ends of the tray are closed with tape while the gel is being cast and then removed prior to electrophoresis. Sample combs around which molten agarose is poured to form sample wells in the gel. Electrophoresis buffer, usually tris acetate EDTA, TAE buffer or TBE buffer, tris borate EDTA buffer. Then loading buffer, which contains something dense like gel loading dye, which we call as, to allow the sample to fall into the well. See, gel loading, okay. One of the two tracking dyes which migrate in the gel and allow visual monitoring of how far the electrophoresis has proceeded. You require ethidium bromide, a fluorescent dye used for staining nucleic acid. Ethidium bromide is highly mutagenic and should be handled as hazardous chemical, and you have to wear gloves while handling EDTA component. Then we require a trans illuminator. It's an UV light tight box, which is used to visualize DNA when you stain with ethidium bromide. Okay, and you have to wear something protective on your eyes, protective eyewear, because it damages your eyes. Now DNA which is negatively charged will definitely move towards the positive electrode. Okay, so DNA moves towards anode. So because DNA is negatively charged, we know DNA is negatively charged, so wells are placed towards cathode. Okay, so we load the sample at cathode, and being negatively charged, it will move towards anode. Right. Now see, when you start electrophoresis and when you see whether the two electrodes are working properly and all, and then you load your sample into the sample wells. Okay, so here it is shown, you have loaded the sample. You can see that there are wells and it contains blue color. Now when you are loading your sample say for example is DNA, colorless, it is colorless, and you will not, if you load the DNA directly, you will not come to know how long it has traveled in the gel, because gel is also transparent. So usually it is to be mixed with a dye. Dye being lighter in weight will move faster. Okay, so the first molecule to come out of the well and move through the gel is the dye molecule. So dye molecules can be visually seen, because it is a colored component like methylene blue. So it is colored and dye moves faster. When the dye reaches to the end of the anode, you are sure that your DNA is within the gel, because DNA follows the dye. So dye moves faster. That is why we require a tracking dye to know how long your sample DNA molecule must have traveled. So the DNA sample which you have isolated is mixed with a dye, number 1. Number 2, it is a kind of submerged gel electrophoresis. The gel slab is submerged in the buffer. So If you want to load the sample into the gel well and it contains only DNA and tracking dye, it will not sink into the gel. The sample will not sink into the well. It will come out and it will float on the surface of the buffer. So your sample will be wasted. So what you want, that your sample should sink into the well, right? Sample well. So in order that it sinks into the sample well, the sample should be heavy. Okay, so to make the sample heavy, we have to add some material which will give a more, which will make your sample more dense, or which will increase the density of your sample. So generally Ficol is added, or glycerol, or sucrose. So we call it gel loading dye. Now gel loading dye is made up of a blue colored dye like methylene blue. It also contains a agent which makes density, an agent which increases the density of your sample, like sucrose or Ficol or glycerol, and DNA, of course. So it is now a colored component, as you can see in the small Eppendorf tubes. Okay, and it contains sample to be separated, that is DNA, tracking dye like methylene blue, and a density increasing component like glycerol or Ficol or sucrose. And now you load the sample carefully inside the well. Make sure that the sample has sunk into the well, and then switch on the current. Current will flow between cathode and anode, and DNA molecules being negatively charged will move towards anode. See, if you are not, if you are staining with ethidium bromide is already present inside the gel. Then visualization. So after the electrophoresis is complete, the molecules, the gel slab is removed. The gel slab is stained, destained, and you can see the sample DNA components, or you can say any other component, that any other sample that you are visualizing as bands. Ethidium bromide, Comasi blue dye or silver dye can be used for this process. Other methods to visualize the gels are then again radioactivity measurement, UV measurement, and all in all. If the analyte molecules fluoresce under UV light, a photograph can be taken of the gel under UV lighting condition. If the molecule to be separated contain a radioactive material added for visibility, then you can prepare an autoradiogram. Okay. So there are different methods like fluorescence detection, preparing autoradiogram if you have your sample is tagged with a radioactive material like that. Okay, and if you have using ethidium bromide, then you have to add the ethidium bromide in the gel. Once the gel electrophoresis is over, put the slab on the UV transilluminator, start UV light. You can see DNA bands fluorescing against UV light. What are the different applications of agarose gel electrophoresis? Separation of restriction enzyme digested DNA. That is a restriction digestion of the DNA is performed, and the digested DNA can be visualized and separated and visualized by agarose gel electrophoresis. Genomic DNA isolation, plasmid DNA isolation prior to southern blot transfer and all, used for separating DNA prior to northern blotting. Analysis of PCR product after polymerase chain reaction to assess target DNA amplification can be done by agarose gel electrophoresis, allowing the estimation of size of the DNA molecule, molecular weight of the DNA molecule, DNA fragment separated by using a DNA marker or a ladder, okay, which contains DNA fragments of known size, allows the rough estimation of DNA quality, quantity also. Quantity is assessed using lambda DNA ladder, which contains specific amount of DNA in different bands. We know the size of the bands also. Quality of DNA is assessed by observing the absence of streaking or fragments contaminating bands. Other technique rely on agarose gel electrophoresis for DNA separation, including DNA fingerprinting. So for DNA fingerprinting also we require to perform electrophoresis, where we use agarose gel electrophoresis. We estimate PCR products also. We analyze DNA fragment size, okay, so molecular weight. So there are different processes for which agarose gel electrophoresis is performed. So this is all about agarose gel electrophoresis. In the next class we will discuss about SDS page. Okay, what is SDS page?